Feel the magic happening.
Campari.
Taste.
Something incredible happens when Campari is mixed just right. Like Campari and orange juice poured over ice. Taste it. Try it tonight. Bitter, sweeter, better. Campari. Must be 18 years and older. Drink responsibly.
Gift for Dad's birthday? Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party? Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding? Click.
With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free US mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience. Free consolidation up to £10. Competitive rates. Free package tracking account with live notifications. Free delivery and, of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to another edition of Voices right here on 1FM 98.9. Good morning, I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and today is Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. We made it all the way to December. When the year started and COVID came, we thought that it would have been here for just a few months, but we are in December of 2020. The COVID is still here, but we should be grateful that we have made it to December. The new year is fast approaching. But yes, good morning to all our usual and first-time listeners, and welcome to yet another edition of Voices right here on your radio station. That's WinFM 98.9. Again, I am your host, Devon Cornelius, and today we will be having a very, interesting and open discussion where persons and members of the public would have that opportunity to call in and share their views and opinions and, ask your questions and just share your concerns on the topic at hand. Today, just for a while, we will be talking about, or the topic will be centered around the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. Today, Wednesday, December 2nd is that day, International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. And so the discussion for the morning will be around that topic. However, if you have something else that you would want to share, remember, this is Voices. So you can call and you can share your views. But today we will be talking about the abolition of slavery, as today is the day it is being recognized. International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. But just to start off our program for today, I would want to play this song by Bob Marley. It's called Redemption Song. So listen to this one.
Ships, minutes of a day to guide from the bottomless pit, but my aim was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help the same? torment of slavery. Number two, cells can free our mind. Whoa, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop off the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. Won't you as the same? These songs of freedom, that's all I ever had. Redemption song, all I ever had. Redemption song, the songs of freedom, the songs of freedom.
Redemption Song by Bob Marley. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is 1FM 98.9, and we are having another edition of Voices right here on our radio station. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and today the topic will be centered around International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. That is International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. And so later on in the program, around 11:30 thereabout, we will be welcoming your calls and your questions, and you will be able to be part of this discussion. You will be able to add your 2 cents and, generally just be a part of the discussion. So when we're talking about slavery, there are main forms of slavery. There are main forms of modern slavery. But before I get into that, I was doing some research, and according to some statistics or some information rather from the United Nations website, it says according to the International Labour Organization, there are more than 40 million people worldwide. More than 40 million people worldwide are victims of modern slavery. Although modern slavery is not defined in law, it is used as an umbrella term covering practices such as forced labor, debt bondage, forced marriage, and human trafficking. So that's forced labor, debt bondage, forced marriage, and human trafficking. Forced marriage and human trafficking, I think those are the more common ones. Essentially, it refers to situations of exploitation that a person cannot refuse or leave because of threats, violence, coercion, deception, and or abuse of power. In addition, more than 150 million children are subject to child labor, accounting for almost 1 in 10 children around the world. And as said before, there are different forms of modern slavery. But today we will be looking at the main forms of modern slavery. Now, slavery has evolved, and it has manifested itself in different ways throughout history. Today, some traditional forms of slavery still persist in their earlier forms, while others have been transformed into new ones. The UN human rights bodies have documented the persistence of old forms of slavery and are embedded in traditional beliefs and customs. These forms of slavery are the result of long-standing discrimination against the most vulnerable groups in societies, such as those regarded as being of low caste, tribal minorities, and indigenous peoples. You have forced labor. Alongside traditional forms of forced labor such as bonded labor and debt bondage, there now exist more contemporary forms of forced labor, such as migrant workers who have been trafficked or economic exploitation of every kind in the world economy, work in domestic servitude, the construction industry, the food and garment industry, the agricultural sector, and in forced prostitution. We often hear in the Caribbean, where you have migrant workers, someone jumping from, let's say, Antigua to Dominica, and that Antiguan person will be working in Dominica, let's say at a farm for the ministry or the Department of Agriculture in Dominica, or let's just say for a farmer, a backyard farmer, or someone more developed in that area. And you would see, or you would realize that you often hear that those persons would usually accept to work for less than they are worth. And so you often see where the migrant workers and those persons who move to other countries, they would get jobs faster than the locals and those persons who are indigenous to the country, those persons who have been there for a long time. And you realize that they will get jobs faster because they are agreeing, or sometimes they're forced to work for less. And so they're doing the hard work, they're out in the sun, they're laboring day and night, more than 8 hours a day, and they are forced, or sometimes they accept, to work for less than they are worth. And these are some of the examples of what is really happening across the region in terms of, because it says here, the agriculture sector, and then you have, of course, the forced prostitution. And so whenever you hear this concern about, these people coming here and getting more jobs than us, it is because in some cases they either accept to work for less or they are forced to work for less. And so imagine you having to work so hard, more than 8 hours a day, more than 40 hours per week, and you are not being paid what you are worth. You are not being paid what you are worth. In regards to child labor, it says globally 1 in 10 children works. The majority of the child labor that occurs today is for economic exploitation that goes against the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which recognizes the right of the child to be protected from economic exploitation and from performing any work that is likely to be hazardous or to interfere with the child's education or to be harmful to the child's health or physical, mental, spiritual, moral, or social development. We often hear as well across the Caribbean region and across the world where as young as age 10 or even younger, children are exempted, or children are not allowed, rather, to go to school to seek primary education, secondary education. They are forced into the workforce, the labor force. And so at a very young age, when their peers, some of their peers rather, are in school, primary school, high school, they are out working, and not regular work. On many occasions, it is work that is indeed hazardous to their health, to their social and moral and spiritual development, and children are being exploited every day. And so you often hear about this issue of forced labor and child labor. And I think it is something, again, and I said it before and I'll say it again, it's something that is quite common, but persons don't look at it as something that is, let me say, bad. We think, okay, the child goes out and works, so they start to work young, they make money young, they are able to help around the household, help mommy, help daddy with whatever responsibilities. But in my opinion, I believe that as a child, at such a young age, you should be in school, trying to get an education, trying to be educated about the about life and about the world and about the real world. But on many instances, you often hear of these unfortunate stories of children having to work at age 10 and younger, and they are forced to do hard work. They are forced to do hard work. Now, trafficking. According to the Protocol to Prevent, Suppress, and Punish Trafficking in Persons, especially women and children, trafficking in persons means the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons by means of the threat or use of force or other forms of coercion for the purpose of exploitation. Exploitation includes prostitution of others or other forms of sexual exploitation, forced labor or services, slavery or practices similar to slavery, the removal of organs. The consent of the person trafficked for exploitation is irrelevant, and if the trafficked person is a child, it is a crime even without the use of force. And these are some of the main forms of modern slavery. So we have child labor, and we have forced labor, and we have trafficking. So as we prepare to open the phone lines, and I'm pretty sure some persons out there and they want to share their 2 cents on this matter, we're just going to take a short break, and when we return, we will open the phone lines to welcome your calls to speak more on this topic for today. Again, for those of you who are just tuning in, we are focusing on the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery, which is today, Wednesday, December 2nd. International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. So at this time, we're going to take a short break. And when we return, we will open the phone lines to welcome your calls.
The holidays coming! You hear? The holidays coming! Get ready for the holidays with TDC Home and Building Depots on Friday 4th and Saturday 5th December. Shop in store and get a different discount every hour on the hour, up to 30% in savings. Plus, if you are at the cashier and the buzzer goes off, you get an additional 5% off. Don't wait until the savings are all gone. Shop this weekend at the TDC Home and Building Depots, because TDC is Christmas. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Hey kids, drink healthy!
Reduce sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors, drink the more healthy way.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Be active, be healthy, drink lots of chubby. Kicking football, playing cricket, having fun in the sun.
It's chubby.
Reduced sugar chubby keeps you cool and refreshed.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Jumping rope, running races, have fun.
It tastes so yummy, chubby.
Drink the more healthy way!
Yes, good morning again, and welcome back to Voices right here on 1FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and we are continuing this discussion about the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. So we have opened our phone lines, and we are awaiting your calls so that we can continue this conversation and to hear your point of view, to hear what you have to say on this topic, the abolition of slavery. I think it's always good to entertain or to have democracy whenever you're talking about topics and topics such as these rather. But we're gonna take our first call for this morning. Good morning, caller. You are on Voices.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
What I have to say, I don't know if it would tie into slavery and all that, but I have something that I would like to raise on your airwaves. The French has returned a crown that was stolen from Madagascar over 123 years ago. France had this crown in the museum in Paris. Now they return it back to Madagascar and they just return it. You know, I made a comment on social media pertaining to this crown that they return, because this crown was sitting in the museum and people were paying to go to see it. So I commented and I said, well, it's nice they return it, but they should have returned it with all that they made from it while it sat in their museum. We know how they feel about our ancestors' artifacts and all the stuff that our ancestors have created, because, you know, they're so bold now that they would say, oh, well, Africa ain't a place to showcase art and all that, and I'm quoting. But it's not just France alone, you know. We have our stuff there in the museum in London, in Germany, in so many parts of Europe. Now, they might consider returning back these things, but they should not returning them empty just like that, because they've made millions, billions, if you want to say. I've been to Europe and I've seen how people visit these museums on a day-to-day basis, 7 days a week, and now that they're returning back these things, they should also return them with some financial support as well. Sorry.
Yes, sorry. Go ahead.
So that's my point I want to bring across. Sorry about this noise here. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about, and I hope other people would, you know, touch on this, because, you know, there's a lot of things that is going on in Africa, and, you know, we know that there's this lady from Nigeria who's supposed to be the head of the World Health Organization, and we know how Trump feel about her. I can't remember her name, and our people need to be educated here, there, and everywhere. So that's my issue for today, and I'll keep listening to the program. Thank you.
Thank you, caller, for your input right here in Voices, 1FM 98.9. Very good information that you shared there. We are still taking calls right here on 1FM, and we'll take our second call. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Cornelius. How are you today, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing quite fine. And you?
I'm giving thanks for that.
Great.
In this topic. Your first caller touched on something that it has been a trend and upbeat agitation, if I might use that word, to describe what has transpired as of late. Quite don't know when. Some would want to think that it emanated from what we saw with the killing of George Floyd in the U.S. But it was the dominant gradually. I do. The awakening has arrived, and there is no turning back. But before I delve into what I just said today, may I say something that I have seen and I have witnessed, and it's something that you will find those who I might call like the enslaver apologists, yeah, who would come on behalf of the enslavers, on behalf of persons who we see as human beings that has committed atrocities and would want to downplay certain things. I think I had a conversation with you about an artistic rendition with the choice of what the artist, the type of color that the artist would want to convey, use, portray the point. As we know, pictures worth 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that so that the quote-unquote enslaver apologist would realize that if a child, 13-year-old, a teenage girl, just going home from school, has been raped and has been preyed upon, and it has happened repeatedly, it is no way for none of us, not knowing what the trauma of that child, to say to the child, get over it. And then so that child would need therapy in order to assist her to get over it. And without that therapy, she will be scarred traumatically for life. And so we need to be more compassionate when it comes to matters like this. Now you mentioned earlier about the 40 million that are presently enslaved in one form or another. And before I go too far, I wish to say there was another guy. He was the Minister of Nigeria for Agriculture. Now he is the head of the African Development Bank. His name is Dr. Adesina. Yes, Mr. Trump also don't want him to be replaced because he is doing a lot for the African continent in terms of agriculture, and he has deliberately stopped the GMO seeds from Nigeria, and he continues to do so in terms of assisting those persons who are showing interest in agriculture, not just in Nigeria, but other places on the continent, in which he has a responsibility as being the head of the African Development Bank. And so they have tried everything. They have even went up the hierarchy in terms of, and there was a lady, I think she was from, if I'm not mistaken, the UK, who presided over the 3-member panel that went to the highest level, even though he was exonerated at a lower level unanimously. And so what is to be would be the good lady that wants to assume a certain position. I was told that the gentleman from South Korea or one of those Asian countries has withdrawn his I think he was nominated, but he has withdrawn his position. So I think that position still is left vacant. But let me go into the crux of what I want to say now. With Dr. Anasina, we have seen this trend with a Congolese guy in one of those, the Louvre, I think it's the Louvre Museum in France, where he went and took up a statue and demanded him. Now, he spoke in his Congolese language, but his expression, he demanded, because mere statue is not a simple statue. It's not just as simple as it is. When you see these people mount their statues on the pedestals, like the Nelson statue, for instance, that came up in the discussion yesterday, they are defined, they are putting their people on lofty positions for other people to admire and to behold. I like what is happening in St. Kitts in terms of when it started with naming the schools of Suffolk Park Primary School and the like. I like that. That can also continue. So statue is not just mere statue. They are there too. There was a case in Ethiopia, Theodora II. It's here. It's here. Sometimes the tooth, I think was the tooth of Lumumba, Patrice Lumumba from the Congo. The tooth that his daughter agitated to get back a tooth. Why would you want to hold someone's teeth? And making money off of it, on top of it. Insulting to our ancestors. And so, all of this, I say, really make a point that when we speak, we're not speaking because of lamentation. And if it is lamentation, it is worthy lamentation. So, some would lament. Okay? So I'm going to continue to listen. I have more to say, but I'll give someone else a chance to call in. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your input on our program today. Yes, for those of you who are just tuning in and wondering what we are talking about, we are focusing today on the abolition of slavery, as today is the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. And of course, this is Voices, so we are open to other topics that you may want to raise. So we are still welcoming your calls. We have another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Kebon. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing quite fine. And you?
Oh, it's great not to be trafficked. We have no idea what it is. I listened to you reading the definitions and the characteristics of it. And we ask ourselves, do we have human trafficking in the Federation?
Very good question.
Yes. And who participates in it? Who are the actors? And it might surprise you, because often you have people of influence who engage in the trafficking. They have access to resources like how to get people to immigration legally,
Mm-hmm.
They have recruiters out there. You have locals who do recruiting. We have some people from the same, after this is done to migrants. You have migrants and you have local trafficking. Because we do traffic our people. Yeah, you have all of these strip clubs and whatnot. Look and see who is inside of them.
Right.
As I said yesterday, brothels all over Bastille. I don't know about the country. Brothels. Often the people can't even speak English. Traffic. Some of them had no idea what St. Kitts was. And some of them, they package the thing so well, life is hard here. And if you go to St. Kitts, you could get a job. And they offer you all kinds of things. And when you reach, they are forced into prostitution.
Right.
And then they take away their passports. And so the people are enslaved.
Yes.
You have to work for me for so much time before you could get back, and you have to pay. You have to pay for the airfare or the boat fare. Slaves. Our people here that be trafficked overseas too, Somebody in St. Martin or some French island, send for them. Girl, if you come, you can get a job, working in somebody's house. You get a job and they pay better than what you get in St. Kitts. People have spoken about it. Sometimes even your own relatives could traffic you. You may be in another Caribbean country and things are hard and so. Girl, if you come St. Kitts, you know, I could help you out and set you up. And you spoke about on construction sites, trafficking. You see them coming, they don't even know which way they're going. They didn't even have to look for the job. And as you said, they are often underpaid. And if you see the accommodation, it breaks your heart. The Chinese do it. They bring in people, you know, the same attractive thing. If you live in a country where you got billions of people, India, China, I mean, any way out sound like a good thing. Show you a nice picture, you know, if you go to St. Kitts or you go to the Caribbean, you could work in this place. And when they reach, it has been shown, all in St. Martin, I show maybe here, the people they live in between the goods. I have observed that in some Chinese places here, they seem not to have any lunch break. I don't know if the government don't. I have raised it before.
You work.
Who go out to these businesses, enterprises, and check to see if the conditions under which the people work. Do they get vacation? How many hours do they work? Or what are their living conditions like? Because there's a UN Convention on Migrants too, you know, which often the people don't know. You have heard of all over the Caribbean, Chinese companies gain contracts and they bring in people, traffic them, they enslave them. And when they reach, they learn, well, boy, you can't go here, you can't. I mean, you see them. And, you know, the saddest part is people have complained about seeing school children down at Port Zante.
Working or just seeing them down there?
Some of them are being trafficked down there. Some of them are being trafficked. I don't know by who, but they are. Well, you know, and then, you know, when you're poor, any little thing is something. They could offer you a phone or whatever. You have school children who are being trafficked. We have some young men who are pimps. Some older men who are pimps. The young girl looking for love, you know? And, you know, Kevin say he loved me. And at first, they romance them. And when they lay down their guard, next thing they're trafficking them to their male friends. And sometimes shame make them keep quiet, or they threaten them. You hear I think it's just over the weekend, there was this issue in Trinidad with the migrants for Venezuela. And Venezuela said that the people are being trafficked. They've had places where they have to raid places in Trinidad where they come in, and before the people could even settle in, they're in the same kind of battle situation. Some of them traffic young people to carry drugs. That's trafficking. When you, Mr. Drug Pusher, give a school child your ganja to sell on the school compound, you're trafficking because he's threatened. A lot of them they live under threat. So we should take this thing seriously. We don't, you know, we turn a blind eye. We know it is there. You can look at the faces of some of these young people who come in. You know, and the saddest part is when somebody from your own family traffic you. Look at what is happening between Africa and Europe. Traffickers, so many people dying at sea. The traffickers offer you, well, if you go to Europe, you can get a job this way and that way, and then they charge you exuberant fees. Some people put up their land and they drop you off anywhere. Haitians are being trafficked to St. Kitts. Haitians. You know, you could go to wherever, and then they drop them off. The poor people, they don't even know where St. Kitts is. And we should take it seriously, not because we have COVID. How did some people get in here? And you know, this sad thing, you may say, well, oh, you find them in brothels or whatever. You find them in state houses. I guess you've heard, even in the States. People bring people from their country. I read this case where this lady, I think it was an ambassador or something. The lady was a slave, was not allowed to leave the house, had no rights, no nothing. They had her passport. I think the case went to court. One day she managed to escape. Ill treat. So we can't just say that is poor people, trafficking poor people. Somebody comes, oh, you know, this is my family and whatever. So, you know, we and as Africa was saying, we need to be more, emphatic. Show more feeling, empathy for the people, because some of them want to escape, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them want to escape, but their life is at risk.
Right.
And sometimes what they do, they threaten to send them back, eh? You know, if where you come from, life is desperate. And they threaten to send you back.
Right. So we're going to continue taking some more calls to hear your concerns and your opinions. Thank you so much, Mrs. Henry, for your input. The phone lines are still open. If there are no calls, we'll just take a short break and we'll return for a few more calls. And we will break at 12 for the news.
Found the sound 98.9
Every day, your immune system is compromised. You use up vitamin C quickly and even faster with stress and cold. Burst back into life with Halib Orange. Burst back into health with 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, as much as in 12 oranges. Each effervescent tablet is bursting with fresh fruit flavor, sparkling orange, lemon, and sugar-free blackcurrant. Also suitable for diabetics. Health never tasted so good. Halib Orange, bursting with flavor, bursting with health.
Are you wondering what to do this holiday season? Will it be the same? Will you be able to give your family all that they need? Well, with TDC Financial Services, all your holiday woes will disappear. You can get up to $35,000 unsecured for your holiday needs. Give us a call at 465-6516 or 469-5430 to find out how we can help to make your holidays happier for you and your family. TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Welcome back to Voices here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and we are continuing our discussion for today, International Day for the Abolition of Slavery, and that is what we are talking about today for those of you who are just tuning in. Earlier we spoke about the different main forms of slavery, which is forced labor, child labor, and trafficking, human trafficking, and a very important and very good question and good concerns raised by the previous callers, especially the last call. But we are continuing our discussion, so the phone lines are still open. You can call and you can share your views on this very important topic. But I just wanted to ask a few questions, and maybe when we receive more calls, you can answer. Did you know an estimated 40.3 million people are in modern slavery, including 24.9 in forced labor and 15.4 million in forced marriage. Did you know that there are 5.4 victims of modern slavery for every 1,000 people in the world? Did you know that 1 in 4 victims of modern slavery are children? Did you know out of the 24.9 million people trapped in forced labor, 16 million are exploited in the private sector, such as domestic work, construction, or agriculture. 4.8 million people in forced sexual exploitation, and 4 million people in forced labor imposed by state authorities. Did you know that women and girls are disproportionately affected by forced labor, accounting for 99% of victims in the commercial sex industry and 58% in other sectors? If you would like to do more research on this, you can visit the website of the United Nations. So you can just type in International Day for the Abolition of Slavery, 2nd December, and you will find all of this information. But these are some alarming questions, you know. These are some alarming questions. And when it says 15.4 million people are in forced marriage, you do have some persons who are of the opinion that, you know, once you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, after a year you must get married. And if you don't get married, the world will end. The world will end and all will not be well unless you get married. And you see around here where young people are forced into marriage, and then a few years later, maybe even months, the marriage break up because they married prematurely and they were not ready for it. Then there's some persons who would be forced into marriage for citizenship and for residency all across the world. And so the numbers are alarming, but we often hear these stories to the point where you see it in movies. The other day I was watching a series on Netflix, and a mother was forcing her daughter into marriage so that her friend's son could get the American passport, and in return the family would receive $15,000. So the daughter's family, if she marries and the son gets the son of her friend gets the citizenship, they will get $10,000. Sorry. So forced marriage, forced labor, forced child labor is happening right under our nose. Right under our nose. And sometimes, you know, there are people who know about these things. There are people who are in high places who facilitate these unfortunate things, and you never hear anything about it. But as we approach the 12 o'clock hour, we will take just a few more calls as we will break at 12 for the news, and just to, you know, facilitate this discussion and to have more opinions and more questions and more feelings on this topic. For those of you who tuned in late, we are talking about the abolition of slavery. Today is the International Day for the abolition of slavery. The United Nations says on their website, the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery, which is December 2nd, marks the date of the adoption by the General Assembly of the United Nations Convention for the Suppression of the Traffic in persons and of the exploitation of the prostitution of others. We will take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Megan. Can you find information, statistics and so on slavery, that kind of human trafficking in the Caribbean?
Absolutely.
You can't find any. I know one time there was a matter with Antigua. I think the UN had taken a matter with Antigua. I know Trinidad was accused. I don't know if Jamaica. So maybe if you could find that information. All right then.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input. We are still taking more calls right here on Voices. Yes, we are talking about the abolition of slavery, and today, December 2nd, is the day is the International Day, for the abolition of slavery. Now, I want to play this song again, Redemption Song by Bob Marley, and we'll just take a few more calls and we'll close out this program. So we will welcome. Yeah, we'll take this call just before we play that song. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes. Good morning. I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm all right. I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing. I'm going to just add this. It is meant for the humor. You know, every year we're talking about it's International Day and International Day for this and International Day for that. You know what I mean? This thing about the International Day for the abolition of slavery. I think what we need to do as a people is that we should remove ourselves away from some of these, to me, I call them nonsensicalities. Let us deal with our issues. We have issues as a people, and we should deal with them the way that we should deal with them. Because, you know, we talk about this UN this and UN that, and, you know, they are the greatest perpetrators of a lot of these things that's happening. And if they are doing it and they're not doing anything to end, why should we say we are celebrating or we're giving focus to International Day for the abolition of slavery? Why don't they end it? Can't they? They can, you know. So I just say I will just say this, you know.
Right.
Me personally, I don't get myself bogged down in these lot of stuff. I just say I will call just for that, eh?
Right.
Oh, and another caller talk about the, what they call it, the Haitians being, what they call the word, when you bring them in illegal into a country. What the word call again?
You do what? You human trafficking?
Trafficking.
Yes.
You know, the caller talk about Haitians are trafficked here into St. Kitts, but what about the Hispanics and the Latinos, aren't they? You go into town almost every weekend, you see a face that is different, and I don't think them they're coming and playing.
Look, you know, and I share the same sentiment. I'm sorry, but every day I see it, every day. I remember there was a point in time where every day I saw a new face.
So I don't understand why, when it comes to our brothers and sisters next door on the same landmass, we have to say, well, old Haitians are trafficked into St. Kitts. Well, what happened to Santo Domingo? A lot of them come here and they don't have no rights here. They don't have no family here, no nothing. But nobody's saying they have been trafficked. And they are the ones who have been trafficked, and no one is paying attention to that. But we want to run down Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
My God. All right.
Right. Thank you so much, caller, for your input. In regards to Mrs. Henry's question, I was able to get some statistics. It says here from the United Nations, it says in Trinidad and Tobago, national authorities report of 11 women victims of sexual exploitation detected between 2010 and 2012. Victims were mostly nationals of Dominican Republic and one from South America. In 2013, 7 additional victims were detected, mostly women trafficked for sexual exploitation, with the exception of one trafficked for domestic servitude. These victims are mostly South Americans and one trafficked from the Caribbean. It says in Jamaica between 2010 and 2013, 43 victims of trafficking have been detected. 28 victims were children, which is 21 boys and 5 girls, and 15 adults, 8 males and 7 females. Victims were trafficked mainly from Central America and other countries of the Caribbean. Victims from South Asia and East Asia were also detected. Victims were trafficked for forced labor and for sexual exploitation. Now, this comes from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and the one from Trinidad comes from the Ministry of National Security right in Trinidad and Tobago. We are going to play that song by Bob Marley, Redemption Song, and we're going to break at 12 o'clock for the news. Thank you guys so much for listening to this first hour of Voices right here on 1FM 98.9. Stay tuned for the news, and we will return at 12:30 for the second half.
All pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause
you found the sound. 98.9 Win FM.
We now bring you the Win FM Headline News. The Win FM Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading.
Merry Christmas. 'Tis the season to save with Delayed Walwyn and Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Purchasing a new car this Christmas? Save up to 65% off. Yes, that's 65% off your motor insurance premiums. Switch and save up to an additional 30% discount on your premiums. Visit us at Liverpool Road, Bastyr, St. Kitts, or Hunkins Drive, Nevis. Call 465-2631 or 469-5303. Promotion ends December 31st. Quotations valid until January 15th. Terms and conditions apply. 'Tis the season to save up to 65% off.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
St. Kitts and Nevis has agreed to write off EC $11 million owed by debt-ridden regional airline Liat. Liat, now in receivership, has laid off hundreds of workers and owes staff alone an estimated EC $94 million. In an update from Barbados Today, reporter Emmanuel Joseph provided information on the pilot's stance on the restarting of Liat's services, saying they are waiting for the court's decision.
Thompson said he will make a statement on the way forward for the pilots when the court process is completed. He told Barbados Today he did not want to say or do anything that could derail the process or that could negatively impact any outcome for his members. He contended that if there was already a plan in place and those behind the plan were, as he put it, playing the fool, then that would be a different story. But he said that right now he could not give an update on the severance or other outstanding monies owed the pilots. Patterson told Barbados Today that why he feels the pain and suffering which his fellow pilots are experiencing, having not been paid for months, is a matter before the courts, and one he wished he could speed up, but he can't. The airline is currently under a court-approved administrator who is overseeing the restructuring of the Antigua-based company. And the Lialpa president is contending that whatever update there may be is exactly what the administrator said. Now, speaking on a recent ABS television show in Antigua, the administrator, Cleveland Seaforth, told viewers that the 120 days which he had to submit a report to the High Court on the findings for the way forward for the Liat company had expired on November the 20th after starting the work in July this year. Seaforth said that report was submitted to the court but is not recommending the liquidation of the company. Instead, he said he was asking for some more time for the discussions with prospective investors to take place, explaining that sometime soon the matter is going to be heard by the High Court, and then the court is going to advise on the next steps of the administration process. Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris announced the decision to write off the $11 million debt at the Tuesday, December 1st press conference held at the NEMA headquarters in St. Kitts.
Just recently, the government took a decision to forego Liat's debt to St. Kitts and Nevis in the region of some $11 million. We did this on the request of the liquidator, taking into account Liat's ill health and as part of our commitment to regional integration and regional travel. We accept that Liat is the largest carrier supporting intra-regional travel, and without Liat there is a major void that has a significant impact and the ease of movement of citizens, residents, and visitors to the region. Mindful of the challenges that Liat has faced, we believe that we must take this position in the best interests of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and the region as a whole. So far from the stats I've given, the air traffic has been modest in terms of loads, reflecting the international situation of a general low demand for travel, particularly of long duration.
According to an article by the Nguyen Trumpet, St. Kitts and Nevis now joins Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, and Barbados in the commitment to write off Liat's debt. On September 12, 2020, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, announced that a number of regional leaders gave their commitment to write off debts owed to them by Liat. St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister and Chairman of Liat, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, has reported that the airline was in deep financial trouble since 2017 and lost EC $14 million in 2019. Since COVID struck, the airlines reported a loss of EC $35 million as of June 2020. Further reports indicated that the airline laid off 564 workers, retaining reportedly 103. CEO of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, Raquel Brown, announced that Liat would only fly to the Federation once a week on Saturdays effective December 5th, with 2 inbound and 2 outbound flights, according to the Liat website.
As it relates to Liat, Liat will be coming and providing only Saturday service to the Federation at RLB. It will be on Saturdays only, and the flight numbers are 350 and 353 from Antigua, and from Barbados 351 and outbound 352. The reason for this is that they're trying to restart service to the Caribbean. They had a announcement today via press release. They can only provide one-day service to St. Kitts at this point in time because they're limited by 4 aircrafts. So at this point in time, we have Saturday service to help with connectivity for the region Caribbean travelers.
Citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis are to expect the federal budget address on Tuesday, December 15th, 2020, by Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris.
As we have done since 2015, it is our intention to deliver the 2021 budget way in advance of the statutory deadline, which is 60 days after the commencement of the financial year to which the budget relates. There should be the laying of the estimates. In this regard, I am hopeful that with the grace of God, I will be able to deliver the 2021 budget address on Tuesday, the 15th of December, 2020.
He made that announcement during his presentation at his press conference on Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. Prime Minister Harris said he will outline programs as part of the economic recovery effort due to the impact of COVID-19. Meantime, the Nevis Island Administration's budget for 2021 will be delivered on Tuesday, December 8th, 2020, by Premier of Nevis and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Mark Brantley, where he will lay out the fiscal plan for the year ahead.
The budget address this year for the Nevis Island Administration will take place on Tuesday, the 8th of December at 11 a.m. We have pushed it back 1 hour to 11 a.m. to accommodate a very important function that was prior to our announcement, and that is the graduation of the Charlestown Secondary School. And so since most ministers would wish to attend these very important graduation functions, we had pushed back the budget address to 11 a.m. So on Tuesday, 8 December at 11 a.m., we hope to convene the Nevis Island Assembly for the reading of the annual budget.
Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris is providing a report on the movement of international travelers since the Federation reopened its borders on October 31st.
Since the reopening of our borders to regular commercial traffic, on October 31st, 2020, our R.L. Bratter International Airport and the Vance Amory International Airport have recorded 284 inbound flights and 283 outbound flights. Passenger movements recorded 742 arrivals and 753 departures for a passenger throughput of 1,495. Our principal carrier so far is American Airlines. Other smaller airlines, such as SVG Air, Transanguilla, Air Sunshine, and a range of other private charters have come and gone.
In news from St. Lucia, the survival of the local restaurant sector now hinges on public compliance with COVID-19 protocols. So says industry spokesman Matthew Hartman, as the sector awaits the deployment of wardens to help restart indoor dining. HTS St. Lucia.
Regrettable but understandable. These are the words used by spokesperson for the independent restaurant sector, Matthew Hartman, on COVID-19 protocol restrictions on the indoor dining experience. On Monday, Minister for Tourism Dominic Fede signaled that the introduction of COVID-19 wardens on December 14th could help jumpstart the reopening of the dining experience for the restaurant sector through greater enforcement. In an exclusive interview with Newsforce on Tuesday, Hartman describes a grim situation with some restaurants staring at the abyss of permanent financial ruin.
We think that the wardens will assist with that. The challenge obviously being is that every day is essential to us, and there's going to be another 14 days or so before they're allowed to. I think the 14th or the 15th they're coming out. So there's some significant challenges financially. People are stretched right now to the limit, and I have understanding that there's at least one restaurant which is about to, I believe, who shall remain nameless for now, but they're going under.
Loan funding from the St. Lucia Development Bank was cited as a possible lifeline to save sinking restaurant businesses. However, Hartman says, though inviting, restaurant owners remain wary of incurring more debt in the midst of a pandemic-ridden economic downturn.
And I believe some people are looking at that. Truthfully, though, we find that it's challenging to take another loan at this point in time. Things is difficult. So some people are weighing these things in a balance, whether they should continue with taking a loan or not, to be honest.
St. Lucia's CDC travel advisory warning was elevated to level 3 on Monday, November 30th, making it the only English-speaking Caribbean island with such a rating. Travelers are advised to avoid non-essential travel to the island, with the CDC warning there is a high level of COVID-19 in St. Lucia. Hartman says the restaurant sector continues to adjust to the fluid situation, but is calling on the public to help maintain the viability of the restaurant business.
What we want to say to all St. Lucians and everybody in the public is we need to take these protocols seriously. We need to make sure that we flatten the curve. We need to get ourselves to a position that we can have a season. Because if the numbers continue like this, the powers that be will have to do what they need to do to ensure that. And truthfully, we won't have a season because we won't have any business. Tourists will not visitors will not likely come. I mean, level 3 is a big warning sign to some people. We don't know how that's going to be affected. Some people are going to travel nonetheless, but it's extremely worrying. So we are appealing as the restaurant sector and the hospitality sector, please follow the protocols. Do what you need to do. No extra travel. No groups. Don't go congregating and drinking and making merry, no mask, no social distancing thing. We understand it's the Christmas season, but we have to do things, we have to play smart now so that later we don't have a problem.
The sector had already established a bubble dining concept with COVID-19 certified properties. However, that initiative was scrapped out of an abundance of caution. Restaurants employ chefs, waiters, cleaners, and security staff. Now, all of these jobs are in jeopardy if the island fails to reduce the rising number of COVID-19 cases. Solange Alfred, HTS Newsforce.
Old Year's Night fetes on hold in Barbados, Barbados Today reports.
It's Wednesday, December 2nd, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Hundreds of Barbadians may have to rethink their Old Year's Night celebrations. That's because health authorities are concerned about the popular practice of gathering at public beaches to watch fireworks in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Director of the COVID-19 Monitoring Unit, Ronald Chapman, told Barbados Today that plans would be formulated to help address that scenario. He said the unit would also be keeping a close eye on Old Year's Night parties.
We are aware of what, as you would have heard, we are aware and we are concerned about the issue. We have not started putting definite plans in places yet, but that's going to come pretty soon. It may be in the form of a PR campaign. It may be in the form of other measures, but we're going to have to look. That's something we have to look at very, very seriously because it's a Jamaican tradition. You go to the beach, you go with your family, you put on your picnic basket, and you watch the fireworks at night. Some beaches are more crowded than others, and we would want to, first off, before we put any strategy in place, I would like Barbadians to know, is that if you can watch the fireworks from home, watch them from at home. If you can avoid the beaches or any crowded place, please do so. If you're going to go to the beach, please stay away from the crowds as much as physically possible. Crowded places are not what you want to. You don't want to be ending or starting the new year with issues with COVID. So we want to be able for persons to be aware of their surroundings, be constantly aware that we are still under threat. The risk may not be as high as other places, but it exists, and we want you to be careful.
From Guyana, an oil and gas summit is underway to discuss best practices in developing local businesses. This report from News Source in Georgetown.
Well, let's tell you now that a virtual edition of the Guyana Oil and Gas Summit opened this morning with President Irfaan Ali assuring participants of his government's commitment to ensuring local businesses are optimally involved in the oil and gas sector.
The government of Guyana remains committed to ensuring that local businesses have optimum participation in the oil and gas sector. As such, we're developing a local content policy and law which will promote local participation in the sector. The policy is being developed through a consultative process, including through the examination of best practices around the world.
This month marks 1 year since Guyana started oil production. While some major projects and investments associated with the sector have been delayed because of the coronavirus pandemic, production has been continuing steadily. President Ali told the opening of the summit that an explosion of opportunities in Guyana is already taking place because of the oil sector. And he said he is convinced that more opportunities will be presented.
The emergence of the oil and gas sector will allow for an explosion of opportunities in our country, both directly and indirectly related to oil and gas.
According to the president, while the government welcomes foreign investment, it is also important for local investment in the sector to be supported.
The sector will require investment, technical skills, and capacity on an unprecedented scale. Foreign direct investment is essential for capitalizing on the opportunities which the sector promises. It is also vital to building the capacity of the local sector. Guyana therefore welcomes foreign investment to help us acquire the capital, the skills, and the technology to convert economic transformation into economic opportunities.
Local companies are being called upon to become bold and ambitious to assert themselves in the oil and gas sector. The Oil and Gas Summit is being seen as the doorway to the startup of additional investment in the oil-focused economy. The summit was organized by CWC Global Future Energy Limited and the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It has brought together local and international stakeholders in the oil and gas sector.
Today, December 2nd, marks another anniversary of the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery observed worldwide since 1986. The day aims to raise awareness about slavery and put an end to all kinds of slavery, such as trafficking in persons, sex exploitation, the worst forms of child labor, forced marriage, and the forced recruitment of children for the use of armed conflict. According to the International Labor Organization, more than 40 million people worldwide are victims of modern slavery, and more than 150 million children are subject to child labor, accounting for almost 1 in 10 children around the world. Dr. James Knight of the Antigua and Barbuda Reparations Support Commission, in an invited comment on ABS Radio this morning, offered this commentary on the significance of the day and the transatlantic slave trade endured by the many Caribbean ancestors.
First of all, I must start out by saying that the whole question that referring to the slave, speaking of modern day slavery, right? And claiming that there's slavery currently that should be abolished, gives the impression that, you know, what is happening now is similar to what has happened historically to us. And, you know, even before chattel slavery, which was the slavery that we endured, there were forms of slavery, of course, and people like to point out that and say, oh, there was slavery elsewhere and so on. Now, before the slavery as a result of the transatlantic slave trade, yes, there existed slavery in which people worked for masters. They may have been exploited in that they worked hard, but they were paid. And people were even able to earn enough money, buy their freedom, and even marry into the families of their masters. That is a completely different case from the slavery that we experienced. We were chattel, we were animals. And for you to understand that, to kill an enslaved African in the Caribbean or the Americas in the whole was like killing a rat. I wouldn't say a dog because people love their dogs. It was like killing a rat. There was no legal consequence or anything. At the same time, a group of British gentlemen in a pub in London formed the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. This is why we are chattel. We could be beaten to death, we could be burnt at the stake, broken on the wheel, slaughtered in any form. But they were forming in a coffee shop in London, Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Meanwhile, we were still considered animals, but there was no society for the prevention of cruelty to us. Now that is a completely different situation from any other form of human exploitation, which may be termed slavery. Now, within 1 year of the formation of the SPCA in London, they were successful in prosecuting and getting a conviction for a man named Mr. Burns, interestingly, for burning his donkey. Not killing it, inflicting second-degree burns to his donkey. And he was convicted. And they had several successful prosecutions in the following years. And the Royal and Buckingham Palace was so impressed that Princess Victoria, who later became Queen Victoria, was named the patron of the SPCA, and they became the Royal Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. That is the same Queen Victoria the Good, as they say. So she was a patron for the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, while we were chattel here in the Americas. Now, in British colonies. Now, the abolition of the slave trade changed things a bit because they couldn't afford to kill off too many of their chattel. And they had to treat the young women a little better so that they could reach childbearing age and bear some children that they could even sell off like pigs to other plantations and so forth. So that is when it became illegal to kill, because there wasn't a next shipment coming with a shipment of Africans that they could go down and buy some and put back on the farm. So that is the people who come out of the other situations that they wish to refer to as slavery, come out with their own names. They don't carry the names of their masters. They are not robbed of the knowledge of their history. They're not taught to hate themselves and everything about themselves and about their past. That is a completely different situation. So what they're speaking of today and referring to as modern slavery is what? Sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, forced labor, bonded labor or debt bondage, domestic servitude, forced child labor, unlawful recruitment and use of child soldiers. These are completely different situations from the experience of enslaved African people.
That was the WinFM Headline News, brought to you by KDP Enterprises, Caribbean Alliance, Carrie Brewery, CNC Trading, The Grange.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Tis the season to save with Delayed Wallet and Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Purchasing a new car this Christmas? Save up to 65% off. Yes, that's 65% off your motor insurance premiums. Switch and save up to an additional 30% discount on your premiums. Visit us at Liverpool Road, Bastier, St. Kitts, or Hunkins Drive, Nevis. Call 465-2631 or 469-5303. Promotion ends December 31st. Quotations valid until January 15th. Terms and conditions apply. 'Tis the season to save up to 65% off.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Friday, December 18th and Saturday, December 19th are VAT Days. But you can come today and get pre-approved credit for VAT Day. Save some of the hassle of this VAT Day and drop by some of your local Hosford department stores today. Yes! Come to any Hosford department today and get pre-approved credit for December 18th and December 19th. No down payment necessary. That's right, zero money down. And no payment until February 2021. That's right, no payment until February 2021. Come to Hosford's today, where we will be dropping major discount plus pre-approved credit when you shop now. How, you ask? Well, it's simple. All you have to do is visit any of the Hosford's departments, including furniture and appliances, Ashley Furniture Home Store, Building and Nevis Centers, and the Automotive Division. Make your VAT Day wish list, and we'll do the credit check. Come back on VAT Day and get all that you picked with your pre-approved credit and be on your way to a merrier Christmas. Whether it's new furniture, a new stove, or a brand new car, Hosford's is giving you pre-approved credit today. Be on your way to a merrier Christmas. Pre-approved credit today for VAT Days December 18th and December 19th at Hosford's. Visit stores for all details.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Voices right here on 1FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and we are back for the second segment of Voices for today, Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. Yes, folks, it is December. And so good afternoon to all the hardworking people out there. Good afternoon to the frontline workers. Continue to do your part in protecting St. Kitts and Nevis from the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, to the everyday citizen and to the regular man on the street, if you're going into a public place, please wear your mask. Please sanitize your hands. Please try your best to practice social and physical distancing. But we're going to take our first call this afternoon. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. We lost that call. Yes, the phone lines are open, and this afternoon is more of an open discussion. I want to hear what is on your mind. That call is back. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius. I'm back for my second round. You started the program with that song by the esteemed Bob Marley. Quite appropriate. I listened to a discussion yesterday and a discussion about on Monday on another program, on Voices program by another host on Monday. He spoke about the demise of Bob Marley, the death, so to speak, of Bob Marley. How he was murdered because he had a voice. I said that to say Bob Marley. Looking at Bob Marley, one would have a doubt as to Wow. But Marley looked like a Caucasian. Why is he would sing a song like Africa Unite? Africa, you're my forefathers, past and so on. That Caucasian talking about the continent like that? Just one song. But Bob Marley message reverberate. So, I mean, globally, they had to murder Bob Marley. Because he was more deadly. You know, there's an old adage attributed to the Arabic culture that says that the pen is mightier than the sword. But Marley used his talent in terms of music to convey a message that reached people who really you would have thought, I mean, you know, the crowd that you would have gathered in when he toured in Germany and places like that. But Marley reached the world. And like everything else, they would take out the prophet, and they did take out Bob Marley, like Martin Luther King and others who became martyrs for the cause. But I said Bob Marley because you know what? Bob Marley had his mother and his father would have been, I mean, whatever the relationship was. But you would have thought that Bob Marley came out and he would have more like side with his father as opposed to siding with his mother. But no, Bob Marley knew his roots. So in the atrocity, in what we call the Ma'afa that occurred, yes, there would have been relationships that would have produced offspring that in the normal circumstance, it might have been different. But we don't hold on to the periphery. We hold on to the core. Yes, it was President Louverture who said, you might cut down the tree, but the roots are deep when they took him to France. You know? So you might cut down the tree, but the roots are deep. We came out of that same root. So it doesn't matter. Like the conversation with the gentleman made a point. Yes, we would have painted with some of the quotes and the like, because the ancestry is there. It is what it is. But the root, because it says 3 more generations, you will see where this came in. Pure from who we are as a people and why we had to. I listened to a news clip, the last news snippet from your news clip, your news program, of a gentleman that rightly so he did justice to. There is no comparison whatsoever with what is considered to be modern trafficking form of what you're going to connotation of slave to what our people has been to the Ma'afa. Of course, there are what the Haitians would call Naijoki, collaborators. It was found persons of the Ashkenazis collaborated with the Nazis to commit atrocities against their own Ashkenazi people in Germany. Likewise, it happened with everyone else. I want to get now to what the gentleman said in the newspaper about we were considered to be animals and pigs and the like. There was a boat that left the West African coast with what they consider to be human cargo. And for whatever reason, it went off course. And the captain and the decision makers decided that in order for we to continue this journey, to make this journey, we have to lighten this load. And so, human beings were deliberately thrown overboard. I'm talking about human beings now. The human life that we cherish today was deliberately thrown overboard. And the audacity, the boat was named the Zang. I got this information from Sir Hilary Beckers on one of his lectures. And the Zang And when they got to England, they went to the House of Lords and made claims for loss of cargo, human cargo. And they were compensated for human cargo. Now today, you take a cruise and you go on a cruise and you would have witnessed someone being thrown overboard, and that matter would have gone to the court. You would have seen it would be a total different scenario where that person would have been charged, the perpetrator would have been charged for murder, but yet that got compensation for human cargo. So our story is really, really story, And in order to appreciate those who live today who survived, they did not jump out in the sky. And this ancestor and ancestry thing is deep because of blood that flows through our veins. So when Bob Marley said they took us, sold us to the Muslims, Bob Marley identified himself with the dungeon in the bottom of the beast, the ship, like the good ship SS Jesus. He identified with we were there. And yes, unless we don't identify ourselves with our ancestors who been through the atrocities, we will be doing them a disservice. And when the Bible says honor your mother and your father, did not say so the lifespan and then death is finished. That honor is honorable until we see the face of our Creator, our Creator. And so honoring your parents, yes, it's all good to go to the graveside and put some flowers. But they smell good things, good aroma. And it's also good to feed them too. So put a fruit there when you go next time. They will appreciate it. They're the one who first fed us. So we have to show appreciation in more ways than one. That's our story. And until we get back to acknowledge who we are and how we're going to get out of this morass, because we will get out of this morass with substance. With substance. Only called today reparations. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, caller, for your input right here in Voices, 1FM 98.9. The phone lines are open, and we are still welcoming your calls here on our program, where we are also having an open discussion. But I just wanted to talk about some recent developments across the Caribbean region, happening with LIAT, where the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and, of course, other CARICOM states have agreed to write off debt owed by LIAT. But we will take this call just before we go into that. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon. Hope you enjoy your lunch.
Yes, I did.
Africa, if you're listening, when you're calling, could you please raise your voice? He's usually very educating, but I have difficulty hearing him on my radio. So all of us would love to be educated, but you tend to keep your voice low. So that is that's my good friend, we all live in Newtown. And I know he wouldn't mind. Now let me address something the last caller before lunch made a comment as to why do we bother with issues or with the days put out by the United Nations. Number one, we are part of a global world. The issues that affect them affect us. We can't afford to be insular. That's what happened to Trump. When you're insular, you are actually putting blinders on your eyes. I mean, I know I said that the people who enter the brothels, most of whom are from the Dominican Republic, they are trafficked. Said it clearly. I take no glory in it because I am a female and I have 7 granddaughters, 2 daughters, and what I may not think can happen to them can happen to them. Because remember, in a lot of cases, it is exploitation and people are often seduced into these positions. Some of them go into it but many of them are actually fooled, enticed. And so when the day comes, you pay attention to the issue. Our issues are no different, maybe in terms of scope. We have a smaller island, we have a smaller scope, but we have the same issue. Tomorrow will be the International Day for Persons with Disability. Should we ignore it? Should we ignore it? Now to my good friend Africa. I have different opinion about Bob Marley, I admire him for his talent. No doubt about it. But his personal life leaves a lot to be desired. His wife, Rita Marley, I used to buy a magazine called She. Maybe you're too young to know. In which she gave an interview in which she lamented the poor treatment she got, the disrespect she got from her husband, Bob Marley, the way he seemed to have a preference for white women, and little or no respect for his wife. All in front, he was carrying on in front of his black wife with these white women that he had all of these younger children. Go there, get them and bring them home and just drop them on her. As if she had no feelings. That is why I challenge some of them when they say that Bob Marley is a prophet. I ask, a prophet to who? He sang good songs. There's no doubt about it. He elevated reggae for Jamaica, but his life, and this thing about somebody kill him. Now, when you are going and the boss, if you're going to smoke a pound a day, a pound, you know how much smoke that can generate? Have you ever thought about it?
Right.
I mean, we got to get truthful. This week, yesterday, we are in the 16th day of activism against abuse, gender-based violence. That woman suffered, and then they turn around and say, oh, she only going on so because she was there with the next member in the band. Disrespect, abuse ain't beat up. You know how emotionally abused you could feel when your husband is bad enough when they do it behind your back. I know that go, behind your back. It's worse when they flaunt it in your face and treat you as if you're black, so sit down there. We have got to get this Bob Marley story straight. We will admire him for his musical talent, but he left a lot to be desired. And so tomorrow, remember the persons who are differently able or disabled. It could be you, it could be anybody. You could be young, you could be old, you could be born so, you could be born normal, and an accident or a sickness make you disabled. All around the world, there are millions of people, just like how they have, 40 million of people in slavery. It is hard to imagine when we say, well, in 1834, we were freed, and 1868 in the Americas, to know that we probably have more slaves now, economic slaves now, than people who actually were put into the fields. And the same way we speak up about chattel slavery, we should want to speak up because we see it. And I'm calling upon the security forces who they are ignoring it, Immigration Department ignoring it. The cases that you read about Jamaicans, those are the cases where sometimes the victim go to the police for relief. That is how you usually know. Most of them live in danger of losing their lives. They're threatened. And if you know you could help a woman to get out of it, or a man, men are in slavery, you bring a man here and you're working him from 6 to 9. And at the end of the week, he can't even live off of what you think. That is trafficking. And that is what happened to a lot of the Spanish. They are trafficked. And as I said, a lot of kitchens are also trafficked by their own people in all kind of ways and means. When you use them as mules, you're trafficking them. So, for my good friend, I love her and I love her spirit. But she has got to be more optimistic. Pessimism not going to help. We got to be more proactive. Our people, the black people we say we love, and the black people who Jesus made, and the first people and all of that. We have got to look out for them, whether they come from Santo Domingo, Jamaica, Trinidad, Antigua, wherever. Anybody who is trafficked is my brother and my sister. And not because it doesn't happen to me or my family, it is our issue. Their issue, their pain is our pain. Their issue is our issue. So we are within our rights to discuss, examine, lobby, advocate for persons who fall into these different groups that we make more aware of. So tomorrow, please, take some time to pray for somebody, reach out to somebody who is disabled. All right then, Kevon.
Devon. Thank you, Mrs. Henry, for your input here on Voices. We will take another call just before we take a break to acknowledge our sponsors. But just before that call came in, I wanted to talk about the initiative by CARICOM, where CARICOM member states have agreed to write off a debt owed by Liat. St. Kitts and Nevis has written off $11 million. $11 million. Liat is now laying off or have laid off hundreds of employees, hundreds of workers, and they owe their staff an estimated $94 million. This is in salary and holiday pay and severance and all of that. And so, yes, Liat is back in disguise, and Liat flying to different Caribbean countries and all of that. Before we continue, I'll take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You are on the air.
Yes, good afternoon. Let me say quickly, my elder sister, the response was made directly to what you said. You specifically said Haitians are trafficked into St. Kitts. You never mentioned anything about the Santo Domingo, and that's why I highlighted, right, because to me that was pure biasness by saying Haitians. And all those who listened heard what you said. You didn't say Santo Domingans, you know. I'm the one who brought it up, and that's why I said every week you go into town and you see somebody looking different. And I'm saying why you would do that to Haiti when no one is saying anything about the other half of Hispaniola that is here. I see that they're welcome. Now, in terms of the international thing, I'm not saying that anybody must disregard it, you know. But I also said those who are putting up all of these international this and international that, they are the worst perpetrators. And they can end these things in a flash. They're the ones who implement a lot of these things. They know about these things and then they know what is happening. They're the ones who are behind all of this. And what I am saying is not for us to disregard, but I'm saying that we might as well put down a lot of these things because it means nothing to us. We only concentrate when a day comes, and because everybody is should around the earth should regard this, we jump on board. And then after that day is past, what? A lot of those issues are here, and people bring these to the fore. Do we bother with them? Nobody's doing nothing. And then when a day comes, we want to say, oh, this is the international day for this and international day for that. And everybody jump on the bandwagon, and everybody has concerns. And then after that, then what? Then what? This thing has been around before a lot of these things happen. I could talk about persons who have been in the media time and time again, over a period of time, bringing certain issues to the fore, and it means nothing. And then as soon as something, or international, this, everybody jumping on the ear, and they're talking about this thing. And everybody now wants to do something, and then after that day is gone, nothing. Because you know what? It doesn't come from within. It doesn't come from our heart. We don't see the need to fix us. And because we don't see the need to fix us, we just jump on the bandwagon when it passes. And after that, that's it. All right, I'll continue to listen.
Thank you, caller, for your input right here on Voices. We will take a break, and we will return for more calls.
Paint it, tile it, improve it. Your walls, paint it. Your floors, tile it. Your home, improve it. Huge savings at the Hosford's Building Center. Paint it, tile it, improve it. Sales event happening now. Yes. Come to Hosford's Building Center now and get savings of 25% off all paint and up to 75% off all tiles. Yes. Nothing's ever keep at Hosford's with up to 75% off piles of tiles in all styles and 25% off all paint. Come now and get a chance to win $500 shopping spree at Value Mart with the purchase of 5 gallons of paint or more. That's right. Buy 5 gallons or more of paint and you get a chance to win $500 in free groceries. Starting now until December 31st, 2020. It's your home, so paint it, tile it, improve it. At Hosford's Building and Nevis Center's year-end Paint It, Tile It, Improve It sale. Come now, save big, and simply paint it, tile it, and improve it. The event starts now and ends December 31st, 2020. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Welcome back to Voices right here on Win FM 98.9. I am your host Devon Cornelius, and yes, the phone lines are open and we are taking your calls. Just before that call, we have another call. Good afternoon, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius. Yes. There are many good causes that we should be advocating for, but we don't want to get distracted. It is disgraceful that we would sully the legacy of someone like Bob Marley, who, apart from Che Guevara, is one of the most revered figures for revolutionary change. Certainly, Bob Marley is one of the most influential, most legendary proponents of black consciousness. Okay? He's internationally acclaimed. I have heard a previous caller say that it is black people in Africa who once enslaved their own to sell the white man, sell to the white man. So what? Does that make slavery any more obnoxious? I mean, whose side are you on to be bringing out something like that, a fact like that, at a time like this? Okay? Yes, there should be an accurate record of what happened. But in the final analysis, slavery has left permanent marks on our race. And we don't get rid of those by trying to excuse it or say there was complicity in it. All right? So I'm saying that we should not be distracted. We should stick to what we are discussing right now, which is basically free yourselves from mental slavery, because it is obvious that a lot of that still exists in the world today. All right? With regards to the $11 million write-off, I, for one, was wondering what was behind the move at this time, especially, and I'm now realizing that it was really part of a regional effort to get Lear flying again.
Yes, CARICOM member states.
I thought for a minute that it was some kind of benevolence on our part.
No.
Okay? But obviously it wasn't. Okay? And I think in that case, I think it's a good move. I would have preferred if, since Antigua, the Antiguan government is intimately involved in solving the Lear issue. It practically owns the airline now, especially after all the others sold their shares for $1, I think it was. I would have hoped that our government would have used the fact that Antigua owes the National Bank considerably more money than $11 million, and use this as leverage to extract some concessions on this outstanding problem, that issue, the money that is owed to National Bank. Whether by way of saying, well, we acknowledge that we owe it, and sometime in the future, even if they can't do it now, sometime in the future, they would, they would repay it when things get better, right? But apparently that was not done, and there was total separation of that from other issues. But in the circumstances, it's good to see that at least another attempt is being made to keep Leah afloat. Hopefully now, with good management practices and good support from the government, because obviously that's needed if Leah is to remain flying. So all these landing fees and high taxes and so on are going to have to come down. But it's a good effort, I would think. All right, then.
Thank you, caller, for your input right here in Voices, 1FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and we are still taking your calls. So, yes, in regards to the debt write-off, there are other CARICOM member states that agreed to write off this debt to somewhat support LIAT on its journey to stability, financial stability, because they owe, millions to their staff, and they owe millions to millions in salary and holiday pay. But we'll take this other call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon.
I'm very glad that I got in. Because we're speaking of slavery. Right now, slavery is rampant and St. Kitts, right? That even the blind man could see. For example, could have been the first caller or the second caller after lunch mentioned about brothels. The same set of people that have been brought in, you said it. The same set of people who came in as, who they be, as you refer to them as prostitutes, after a year. Because the politicians is who allowing this thing to happen. Because at the end of 1 year, they become eligible to vote. They decide our future. What some people are not looking into, and the very serious matter, is the 14-year-old young ladies and St. Kitts school girls becoming prostitutes because of what is being imported into this country to accommodate the ruling administrators. And this thing should not be. If you're going to tell people you got to quarantine before they come into this country, we should not be allowing the prostitutes to come into our country because it's spoiling the culture of our country. The young ladies, the young girls, the school girls becoming prostitutes. And after a period of time, 1 year, these said people who coming in with that kind of culture, they don't become eligible to dictate you, because I'll tell you something, we don't want to go back into slavery. Because some people do not seem to understand. Mr. Cornelius, are you aware that 1975, Kittitians went out to vote so that the premier of that point in time, Mr. Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, could have bought our sugar lands? Mr. Cornelius?
Yes, God, I'm listening.
Acknowledge that you're still listening.
I'm listening.
Okay, for example, right? When Bradshaw went and bought the sugar lands, right? I don't think he was alive because today make 45 years.
No, I wasn't alive.
Today the 2nd of December make 45 years. Hello? Don't you know how much acres of our land had been sold? We do not know. From ever since 1980, this thing been going on. It's not right. It can't be right. Because when we talk about slavery, if a people does not have a land, they're enslaved. We talk about the riots in the Caribbean. It started in St. Kitts. It started with the Buckley riot. All this thing came after the ending of slavery. Miss Sylvine Henry, she said she had statistician, but she does not come up with these kind of information to enlighten the public. She should come out and say how much acres of land was sold after 1980, how much make I can talk blunt. I don't care who wants to come out and say, well, make me a martyr. How much acres of our land was sold after 1980 up to 1995? How much acres of our land was sold after 1995 up to 2015? And how much acres of our land has been sold after 2015 up to this point in time? Because if they're going to continue to sell our lands, what would we have left for us? They can't be, because when you got grandchildren, what piece of land are you able to buy? This is the seriousness I'm speaking about.
That's right.
I'll tell you something too that I'm undergoing. My name is Kashrai Tweed. My telephone number is 668-2555. I have some documents I want to share with you. I'm not going to debate about them until I share them with you. Because I have a document from Social Security with my spreadsheet and a document, a spreadsheet from a farmer employee who does not want to give me my holiday pay, and they decide I can't work in St. Kitts again for the government, which is I am part of the government. St. Kitts has two ruling arms. We have the ruling administrators with the people that the government go out and elect. The government overrides the ruling administrators because the ruling administrators they could leave any day. Any day we could vote them out. But we do not seem to understand this thing. We're playing a blind eye and a deaf ear to what's going on in our country. You ever hear about NACA, Mr. Cornelius?
NACA, no.
This is the same thing we're talking about. During NACA, we were self-sufficient. We were self-sufficient. As much as we had cane and St. Kitts, we were exporting non-sugar agricultural crops. And the Llewellyn Bradshaw. I could speak of these things because I was involved with this thing because my mother was a chair seller. I used to go to the market with her. I tell you, it was about 10 years back then, 1970. We never used to sell lime by a pound. We never used to sell no food stuff by a pound. The Dominicans came in and changed that culture. Coconut and all them kind of things never used to come from the Windward Islands. We had these things in abundance. When St. Kitts economy big, it helped Nevis. When Nevis economy big, it helped St. Kitts. Because, a subset. A set within a set. We live and help each other. Because those boats that used to came from Nevis help a lot of people and St. Kitts with the fruits and vegetables plus animals for butchering to help us fortify ourselves and St. Kitts. Then they will buy vegetable crops from St. Kitts and take them back up Nevis and sell them in the market. That is how St. Kitts used to be. When last you eat rice and pigeon peas? When last you eat rice and banabis? I doubt if you know I'm speaking of the type of legumes that we go on St. Kitts.
Yes.
We can continue this way. For example, if you go around St. Kitts, right? How much got when you go around on the island mainland that you drive through? It tells us that
quite a few,
we
yeah.
have plenty of water on St. Kitts. But they had a thing they had in water department called pumps. That was during Bradford's time. People used to, we had a man named Jerome Pinney. This man longing to go back into what he used to do. Dig well. Got water out there for us to survive. We could get agricultural production all year round. When last year they got boat leaving St. Kitts going to the neighboring Caribbean islands with the vegetable produce. Tell me when. This is what we're supposed to be speaking of. This because Jimmy Cliff sing a song, Poor Slaves, When you're going to finish the program, I want to play the song because the song, you ever hear the song, Poor Slave?
Poor Slave? What's the name of the song, caller?
Hello?
What's the name of the song you said?
Poor Slaves. poor slaves. That's a song we support. I tell you, these music that we grew up with in the 70s, these kind of music that used to inspire us, lift us up out of what we used to be. We can't continue this way. We can't continue selling our land. We otherwise then we become nomads, people without a land. How should we live? Knowing I can't go to Santo Domingo go vote. I can't go to Jamaica go vote. I can't go Guyana go vote. But these people coming here and dictating our future for 5 years, and then the politicians we ain't got no say, which is we are the higher heights. We dictate. When you hear government change, right? You must tell yourself, our government to change was back when French and the English was fighting for St. Right now, there's a change administration. Then they tell us political science. They go to university to study politics. What I tell you? Open your mind. What I tell you? To be a politician, that means got an art of knowing what the people need, what the country you live in, who you ruling, what they need. That you dictate, oh, I don't work till until I dead. I don't put any kind of laws in place that I remain in power. It should not be that I'm not against whoever comes to think it's to make a living. But they should not be entitled to vote. They should not be entitled to vote, because when you look at it, these same said 14-year-old young girls who go to school, our sisters, our niece eventually, when they become in the next 10, 15 years from now, which man go to marry to them? You have to put this thing in perspective. Who go to marry to them when you know the lifestyle? Now tell me, creator God, and I said to you, play that song by Jimmy Cliff, Poor Slaves, Respect. Don't forget to get in contact with me though.
Yes.
Respect.
Thank you, caller, for your opinions, and thank you so much for sharing your views right here on 1FM 98.9. We are having voices. We are still taking your calls, and I just wanted to add there that I was doing some research in regards to World AIDS Day, and some statistics came about. But before I get into that, we'll take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Voices.
Yes, I'm back up the guy. He always fighting for this thing, you know. And hear what he's saying, and my heart goes out to him so much. You might say he had a big crop, you know. They sell it over to somebody else in Canada. That is not right, you know, because when you don't get these land and you try to, you see what you could capable of doing, and when you see government do that, it make your heart drop to your knees. I'm agree with him with what he's saying. When you look, you see, when I look people come here getting house, getting land and all them deal. So we're going to be for my grandchildren. I have 6 grandchildren, you hear? Hello?
Yes, I'm listening to you, caller.
Hi. Mr. Cornelius?
Hi, yes, I'm listening, yes.
Yeah, I have 6 grandchildren. 2 boys and 4 girls, and up to now, none of them have no land, you know. And when I see people come here from Jamaica, we will say the land, we couldn't do that. You lease them the land. When you tell somebody to buy it from you, lease them. You just take up our own hand and our parents have fought for all them years. Huh? It's not for our benefit. They say we get back something, get back one. They're just doing as they like with the land. That is not right. Yeah? And it's as he said for true. You know, you say about a pound, this pound, that pound tara in the market. Right? You put out your parcel and you price it, and that was it. Now just sometimes one thing, you have one potato come a pound. There was one potato could do with a big pot of soup. Could have been one, you know, that means, and it's for about $6, you know. So at the end of the day, you got to go buy nearly $20 to $25 potato. Mm-hmm. As he said, we come let them override us, nothing put in place. So say, well, you only this, you only that. Where we heading to? It's no man land. I want to know where we heading to, because as far as we're going to see, we just like a poor slave for true. Like a soldier crab with our head. Because, sorry about that. after they could get this thing done, may not agree with it. You come here, every time I look down, and if you know me, I used to see the boy and I said, so maybe you know me as a young guy, maybe not. A short lady. When I look around, when I see, I count in some families that they say, the mother and the father, and about 4 young Spanish over happened to me, my little great grand. One of them laughing and when I say me, use the out order word. I said, me realize soon to go think it. Because they're young, the people, them young enough, so they could get the children still at any time. When you look around, you see one of them flat. When you look, they're high now. I say here, Mr. Cornelius, I hope the government is doing the right, because to Mr. Dubai just say, no, they're right. You look like they just got this thing like a joke. When they could go in the place where they're doing the business, the Spanish bars, and they laugh for them. I said to myself, I wonder, right, if they're charging them a little more than we when they go to the hospital. Because you're not supposed to pay the same price like me. You're supposed to pay over, it was in St. Martin, and when you're going to get a baby, you can't pay no 200 guilders. You got to pay your 500 and your 1,000. I don't know what they're doing. Nobody coming out and explain them nothing to us, I'm going to talk about after 3 years in the country, you could get right to harm to them there. I really am to them. They don't get me so upset when you talk to people on the other side of Bashba. I'm going to come in and defend the government. But you're defending them too. You're asking a question. You want to know what's going on. You're interested in know what's going on in your barn in Lano. Because you know you were out there. What I say again, these are little strangers on the road of sell. One mere person I went to Martin near Miss News God, where she passed away from Nevis. Used to be a place named Edatonga Cellar. And he only wanted anybody else let me teeth into sell Mr. Cornelius. I got to get it in my yard. I didn't say kitchen house when I was selling. I got to buy the Dominica boat to buy to enjoy a coconut to turn me on. But they in my yard. Because back street was like you're back home, you're seeing people in your past and your yard there to see me here. You couldn't like on the road put up tent and dig out people's eyes. I hope they know what they're doing. You know what someone tell me? I have a great-grandfather died the last year, don't you? And he born Dio. And the guy was done heading no 30. So in his 30s and up to now, going by, never get a Dutch passport. So my great-grand can't even go down there and say, well, I come to get my father right. Because he ain't getting on, and he was born there. But he was still back and forth to see if he could get it. So I don't know what happened in this place. It's really grievous to people like me. Who go out there and they say, oh, we went out there. Yes, but I asked the lady that I went out there. You could just go out there and sell as you like. You cannot do that. You got to hide in and duck in. If you sell, Mr. Cornelius, you got to sell from the home. People, yes, from here used to order things. Right? But you sell from your home. I will tell you when Mr. Cornelius come again. So nice little panty for your girlfriend, see if you like them. And so I got a little suit for you. Come see if you like it. I couldn't go on the street. People here, I had to ask the lady, they miss so much of that. She tell me one little bag cost $90. I said $91. You paying tax? And she on my sidewalk, right up 4th Street, you. I buy inside, don't know, Jamaican already, and she outside. I said, you're paying that. Oh, I got to pay they when they come into the lower way. We know you got to pay nothing when they come from France. When you go take up your thing from the doctor, you got to pay for them too. Nobody like they stepping down and then when you look, they're going to watch me and you hold on your tax you. I see people again going around with this school pulling away. Nobody attacks them. You couldn't do that in some man. I see a lady one time I going on Mr. Colino to that little basket maybe coming on a Sunday time with a little potato and a piece of pumpkin and selling them. After one me see the lady, one of me asked after the lady see mother the government tax it's hard. That it wasn't make no sense to bring home she little basket, mama.
Right,
She don't
right.
like to potatoes, she yam and so.
Right. Well,
We need to get serious with this thing and stop play and take it as a joke. We people who born with kitchen vex about the matter, no? We very vex about it.
yes.
Only some me want to talk out now.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you so much, caller, for your input here on Voices on 1FM 98.9. I am your host, Devon Cornelius, and we are still taking your calls as we approach the 1:30 end time. And this morning we had a discussion on the abolition of slavery. As today, December 2nd, is the International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. And this afternoon is more so of an open discussion, and we are facilitating your calls and we're hearing your concerns. We spoke earlier about the $11 million debt write-off, and yes, we are still taking your calls. So call us today while we approach the 1:30 in time. If we have no calls, we have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Greetings. Thanks for taking our call. Concerning the abolition of slavery, we don't know the being through it, the physical slavery from the human cargo come right through, physical slavery for hundreds of years. We survive it. You know, my brethren, they was talking about Bob Marley. He recognized that survival in a song, even, black survival, you know. And one from his, I think it was his album, Main Track, you know. He chose his mother way because the consciousness is nothing to do with color, you know. It's a consciousness, nothing to do with color. I mean, some people black like tie, you know. See me? I mean, some people...
We lost that call. We are going to take just a few more calls as we approach the 1:30 end time. If we have no calls at this time, we'll just take a short break and we'll return with just 2 more calls and we'll end this program today.
It's official! Friday, December 18th and Saturday, December 19th are VAT days. But you can come today and get pre-approved credit for VAT Day. Save some of the hassle of this VAT Day and drop by some of your local Hosford department stores today. Yes! Come to any Hosford department today and get pre-approved credit for December 18th and December 19th. No down payment necessary. That's right, 0 money down. And no payment until February 2021. That's right, no payment until February 2021. Come to Hosford's today, where we will be dropping major discount plus pre-approved credit when you shop now. How, you ask? Well, it's simple. All you have to do is visit any of the Hosford's departments, including furniture and appliances, Ashley Furniture Home Store, Building and Nevis Centers, and the Automotive Division. Make your VAT Day wish list, and we'll do the credit check. Come back on VAT Day and get all that you picked with your pre-approved credit and be on your way to a merrier Christmas. Whether it's new furniture, a new stove, or a brand new car, Hosford's is giving you pre-approved credit today. Be on your way to a merrier Christmas. Pre-approved credit today for VAT Days December 18th and December 19th at Hosford's. Visit stores for all details.
We have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Caller, good afternoon. You're on Voices.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon.
This is Jam down here. The third caller there, he raised some very good point, the Rastaman. And he was giving you the wrong name for Jimmy Cliff's song. It's all slaves. Take the shackle off the body. Take the shackle off the body. Put it on the mind. Mr. Cornelius, where this young man was saying, he's right. You understand? He's so right. Cecil Moonlight Roberts, you ever heard about him?
Cecil Moonlight Roberts.
Right. One of the prominent mind of this country, they're gone to the great beyond. But he always used to talk about just what the young man they spoke about. You understand? We cannot allow people to come think it and change we culture.
Look at town, Mr. Cornelius. Look what's going on in Bastille. You heard the old man, the young man told you about what happening down by the market? You know, we used to sell things, how people who come in here and selling, they drive everything by the pound, a breadfruit for $10, Mr. Cornelius. A pound of egg for $6. And government just keeping a blind eye to them ignorant and listening to people. Well, I'm going to sit by and allow these things, you know. And I'm warning them to clean up the road, you know. I'm warning my Prime Minister to get the impetus to say one morning everybody go down the market. The market must make profit. Them things couldn't happen with Robert Bradshaw. Robert Bradshaw went to university, but he had understanding and common sense. What we want with these young MPs where we put them Church Street, look what's going on in Bastille. It's terrible. Mr. Cornelius, have a good day. I see you when I see you. I want to meet you too. I want to meet you.
Yes,
because they don't know what's going on in these, man. We come out, it's sure, but the come out must be done by the market. Look what's going on down there, one we held up. A ton hand in the market. She had one of the most beautiful stalls from a little boy, me not going up on the market. And these people come here and driving out of business. The market keeper down there balling the car make money. Nevis had the same problem and Nevis corrected and down here pray to correct it. Making these people feel like we're depending on them to come destroy the government. Nonsense. Have a good day. And they're going to hear me, you know, because I don't just say, you know, I'm backing down, you know. I don't watch face, you know. Culture tell me, have a good day, Mr. Cornelius.
Thank you, Colin. You have a good day as well. That was our last call here on Voices, Win FM 98.9. Thank you guys so much for being part of this program. Thank you so much for sharing your views and your concerns. And thank you for voicing your opinion right here on Voices, Win FM 98.9. I was your host, Devon Cornelius. And just before I go, I just wanted to share some statistics that I think would be useful and beneficial to the population. So on the occasion of World AIDS Day, which was celebrated on December 1st, statistics were provided for St. Kitts and Nevis by our health minister. It says over the period 1984 to October 2020, 458 new cases of HIV were reported with 145 deaths. That equates to 31.6%. Between 2015 and October 2020, there were 81 new cases, average 13 cases per annum, of which 56, that is 66.6 are males, and a startling 42% under 30 years of age. Quite some alarming statistics here. But thank you guys so much. And if you're looking to do some research, you can visit the United Nations website and they will have all of that information. But thank you guys so much for listening to yet another edition of Voices for Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020, right here on your radio station. That's 1FM 98.9. I was your host, Devon Cornelius, and it was indeed a wonderful program. Thank you so much for the calls, and thank you so much for sharing your opinions, and thank you so much for being a part of the discussion. Until next time, continue to be safe and continue to protect yourself from the coronavirus. Wear your mask, practice social distancing, and please wash your hands. Stay safe.
Tile it, improve it. Your walls, paint it. Your floors, tile it. Your home, improve it. Huge savings at the Hosford's Building Center.